Welcome, everybody, to Gums and Gossip Podcast. This is we're talking teeth talk, we're talking health, a little bit in between. And I'm your host. I'm the Gum Goddess Hope, and I'm here to help you ditch your fears, laugh a little, learn how that your mouth tells a bigger story and your overall wellness. So today I am so excited. We're talking about something that's close to home, and especially during the holidays, this is about gut health. And I am honored to have the gut goddess. Here I am, the gum goddess, and we're meeting the gut goddess. Um, so from like peppermint mochas to like party stress, our bodies just feel it all. And you don't realize that your gut and your gums are actually in conversations together and we help each other. So here we are helping each other and your digestive system, your smile, everything's gossiping back. It's behind your back going, what's going on in there? And today we're spilling their secrets. So joining me, as I said, is the incredible Gabrielle Grandell. And she is a functional nutritionist, a functional medicine certified health coach, and certified leap therapist. And she's passionate about helping people tune into their bodies, find freedom with symptoms, and trust that nature truly knows best. So, we're diving into everything from holiday indulgent, how it impacts your microbiome, why your dentist might secretly care about your digestion. And so, grab your tea, maybe your probiotics, get ready for some fun, empowering chat, and it's going to leave your gut and gum saying thank you. So, welcome, Gabrielle.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be with you today.
Yeah, so, it's interesting. The gut health is just people don't really think about the mouth or the gut. I'll start there.
Mhm.
And it's interesting because that's what we do. We eat, and I love
Mhm.
to eat. I'm a
Yeah.
foodie. And things have evolved over the years, as far as what's in our food. There's the big probiotic we'll get into, and all that stuff. But tell me a little bit. We'll start with your background. So, your passion for empowering people. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So, yeah, like you said, I'm a functional nutritionist. I've been practicing for the last 12 years in this sort of paradigm. And prior to that, I was a dietitian in the hospital. And I just always really loved, and been fascinated by nature and nutrition and the power of food and how it can really impact our bodies, for the better. And I yeah, I fell in love with being able to help people, and the background of working in the hospital was pretty limiting in some ways because we weren't really getting to the root of what was going on with folks. And so I've been really blessed to be able to understand that what we put in our body and what we put around us really makes a big impact. And so I help people get to the root of their digestive concerns using nutrition and lifestyle and supplements and just helping them, feel empowered that their body is really here to work for them and how nature can really, you
Yeah,
know,
there's so
really support
many
that.
there's so many diseases and different things, and I know we're constantly evolving, in the industry of like even COVID times and things like that that
Hmm.
just impacted. There's been so many great impacts of what people with nutrition and all that. And I've talked before with other guests about nutrition from Europe to here, but there's different qualities, there's different things, and so you have to adapt. And being in the hospital space and everything,
Hmm.
they take things I would think they would take things pretty seriously with the hospitals, the macronutrients and, like, people who have diabetes or different things. That would be a challenge, I would think, to have to all these different diets.
Yes, and it's tough because you don't get to spend a lot of time with the patients. And that's really, the idea of bioindividuality, right, is kind of lost in the hospital. And like you said, you're following kind of plans that are a little outdated. The science is kind of behind, and really where the transformation really happens is actually spending time with people to understand their story, to understand their symptoms, to understand their resources and why they do what they do, and what their preferences are, and how you can really help them overcome the blocks to healing. And it's in the hospital that really wasn't possible. There's a place for hospital medicine and, traditional care for sure, but it doesn't really support the chronic illnesses that we have. And definitely with digestive stuff, it really, it really,
It just
it
impacts
just,
everything,
yeah, it
you
just
know?
wasn't, yeah, there just wasn't enough, there wasn't enough time or focus on how we're all unique, and we really need to uh,
Yeah.
take more time
I
for that.
think, I mean, from blood types to,
Mhm.
people having allergies. I know
Yep.
that was like, some people have, and I don't know, thinking back, you
Mhm.
know, I don't remember people having as many allergies. I don't know what it is in our diet. I don't know what it is in our gut that's changed.
Mhm.
Um, but it just seems like that became a huge trigger from the gluten intolerance to
Mhm.
peanut allergies to, even thinking about sugars in toothpaste, I mean, things that are in our toothpaste that
Yeah.
that would trigger something, that would make sloughing of your gums or things that people aren't aware of as an allergy, even in your skin from your digestive to your mouth. So I wonder why. I mean, do you have any insight of why all this has evolved? Is it our bodies?
Well, I think we are just bombarded, unfortunately, by toxins and different stressors, and the gut is very sensitive to stress, and it's not just what we're eating, right? It's
Mhm.
all these other things that we're coming in contact with. And, we're not supporting detoxification well, or we have a lot of nutrient deficiencies, and so people are just not really set up in a lot of ways to fight off the threats of the environment. And most of our immune system is resides in our GI tract, and so the standard American diet and all of the exposures,
Mhm.
I think, is really beating our immune system down. And then again, we don't have the nutrients, in our diets or otherwise to help, the body to flourish and those organs to really do a good job for us. And then our detox pathways get bogged down. Then we can't get rid of things, and then we're just much more sensitive to things, healthful foods like peanuts or eggs, or we can't be outside sometimes in the grass with the grasses and the trees and the different things. But
Mhm.
that's actually something that I find that gets much better when you work on repairing the gut microbiome, is those kinds of those allergies.
Are you a firm believer in like probiotics and things like that? I know
Yeah.
there's probiotics, there's also, oral probiotics
Mhm.
now that are becoming more popular,
Mhm.
to create with the microbiome, but also with the gut health.
Mhm.
Is that something that you recommend taking every day just to help, or is that something you want your body to naturally do?
It's a really good question. And this is where it depends, right? Because everyone is unique. So what I want to say about probiotics is that they can definitely be helpful, right? To take them supplementally. And but you have to have the right environment in the gut for them to colonize. So that doesn't always happen if you don't have enough different fibers, for example, in your diet. And so then there's also people that have imbalances and overgrowth of different microbes and bacteria in their gut. And so then when they take a probiotic, depending on the kind that they take and how strong it is, it's actually going to make their symptoms worse, because it's kind of like feeding, fuel on the fire. So I don't always give probiotics out of the gate. Sometimes we need to concentrate on killing off some of the things, but really the ultimate long-term goal is to create an environment where all these different kinds of bacteria want to thrive and grow, and that's through diet and lifestyle and getting the digestive function, as it should be, and cleaning up the inflammation and all of that stuff. That's much more significant and important than people, I think, realize.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you have okay, I'm gonna go personal a little bit,
Yeah.
but is this a passion because of things that had happened to you? Were there different things that you were kind of aware of your own self that made you want to help others?
Well, not necessarily digestive wise, but now I'm learning. I mean, I think I shared with you a little
Yeah.
bit that I've had some oral microbiome challenges. So, I'm happy to talk to you more
Yeah.
about that as well. But as far as the digestive stuff, that really wasn't what led me this direction.
Mhm.
But I was taught in the traditional, like old school, food pyramid,
Mhm.
and
I remember the food pyramid, and
yeah,
it was like back in my time, I'm gonna kinda it was
yeah.
4-4-3-2. That was like, that was the thing to do. I don't know what it is now, but
Yeah.
I still remember that pyramid. It was like 4-4-3-2.
Yeah, so, like, eat 6 to 11 servings of grains a day and, and eat all this dairy and, the concentration on protein and the concentration on, different kinds of plant foods was just that's not wasn't
Mm-mm.
the
The plant
emphasis.
diet was not even heard of. I
Yeah.
mean, it was like that whole plant thing became, and vegan, I know it was very limited,
Mhm.
and now you even go places and it's like, okay, you can have vegan and you can be gluten free and you can have no dairy, like there's so many things that you can create now,
Yeah.
and I don't know, and this is just my opinion of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's bodies, like you said, are very sensitive and everything.
Mhm.
But when you take away a lot of things, it almost seems like an intolerance, like you would never be able to do any of that again. Is there ways of incorporating things? I mean, because I feel like, people do take away things to see if they have allergies, to things like eggs or something. They'll say, okay, for like 2 weeks, I'm not going to have eggs and see if I'm
Mhm.
not as bloated or
Mhm.
something like that, or dairy.
Mhm.
Um, as Do you build, like, an intolerance or anything because now you're not having something?
Yeah, so you're asking if you take it out of your diet, are you going to then
Never be able to
never
have
be
it
able to
again.
reintroduce it?
Yeah,
Yeah, again, the answer is always it
yeah,
depends, but no, that's not really a rational,
yeah,
fear to have, but a lot of people do
yeah.
wonder that same question. Really, the idea about removing things and like eliminations, diets and things is to provide some temporary relief,
Mm,
right? To calm things down in the immune system and with the inflammation, if someone does have a sensitivity to it or an intolerance. Um, if it's intolerance, that's a little bit of a different story. But generally, it's really that they're having some sort of immune upregulation because of what's going on in their gut microbiome, right? Their gut is permeable or leaky. They maybe don't have enough digestive fire or juice to break their foods down, depending on what's going on with their microbes in there. So there can be value in removing those things temporarily, but the real money is to go in and then repair the gut, right? And then when you repair the gut and that whole environment, um, which also has to do with mindset because digestion is a top-down, process. But when you repair that, then you can introduce those foods back in, and most of the time, people can tolerate them way better than they could before.
yeah. You
So
know,
that's not usually true. Really, we're working to build resilience, so that you can have more variety in your
Yeah.
diet.
I think that's a very valid point because I know some people fear eating
Mhm.
something, and
Yes.
it could come from childhood. I know I do a lot with generational fears,
Mhm.
and sometimes it does stem from, like, in my opinion, it stems from the parents or the grandparents or something that were like, oh, we can't do this in our family.
Mm.
This is not something that we tolerate. But you
Mhm.
said, I mean, each individual, I mean, our bodies are all so different. So that's a good valid point that it wouldn't matter if mom, I mean, yeah, of course, shellfish allergy or something, that would be, detrimental, might be something to be looked at,
Yeah.
if it's like, hospitalization wise,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously you don't do that. But it does stem, I think, a lot from your fears of your family.
I think family and childhood plays a huge role in so many health concerns that we have, but definitely around food and diet, right? Yeah, absolutely. So I would agree. And yes, sometimes people do have allergies that are significant and we need to take those seriously. But that's less often the case. It's more often that they're just having some sort of immune response because of what's going on in their body that can be repaired and, taken under control so that they can have more resiliency. And that's something that I talk about is where did these ideas
Mhm.
about what you're eating come from, right? And there's many sources. Most of the people, yes, some of it does go back to childhood and family dynamics and what they were taught and, what felt good to them in different situations. Why they eat what they eat is one of the reasons is to celebrate and
Mm.
have those kind of good memories. But
Yeah, food plays such it's
I
it's such an important part,
mhm,
and, obviously, we'll kinda get into the dental part of everything. I mean,
mhm,
it starts with you eating.
mhm,
It
mhm.
starts
It's
with
the
your
gateway.
teeth,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
and everything shows in your teeth. It's
Yeah.
like and with your gums. I know, a lot of my patients that I've saw over the years, I would look at their mouths and I could tell just from different vitamin deficiencies,
Mm.
maybe you should be having a little vitamin C, or
Mhm.
maybe you should try, and people were pretty mesmerized about they didn't understand that there's other solutions, if they have bleedy gums that maybe it's hormonal, the hormonal imbalance. We could go there.
Yeah.
But there's things besides food that affect your gut,
Mhm.
even like you were touching base on, like with the environment
Mhm.
and mindset. And it's not to get people to panic, like of,
Right.
okay, now we have to do everything this and this.
Yeah.
I think it's a big just awareness.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So in when with the mouth and everything, there's been so many things that I you had asked me about, like, this is prior to everything with the red light therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I kind of wanted to go there. I'm learning a little bit about with the red light and how it's like with the whole body and everything, and how it helps with inflammation.
Mhm.
And I find it fascinating. I haven't personally used it yet,
Mhm.
but I've had some companies that have reached out to me. Then I might try some, just to see. I don't have the. I mean, my gum health is really good, and I, so I don't know if I'm the best candidate, but it would be fun to try.
Mhm.
But you can also have the red light therapy in your around your gut.
Yeah, you can put it on your abdomen.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's supposed to with like the all your fibers or different things that are inside you. I guess I'm trying to figure out the right words to do. You know,
Mhm.
it's supposed to kind of help your cell, like the cellular level,
Yeah, the
and they do
mitochondria.
that, yeah, in the mouth as well. So there's
Mhm.
so many exciting things that now can be done to help with your whole bodies as well. So that's kind of a new little fun little topic I thought I'd touch base on. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you have any fears of going to the dentist?
I don't anymore. When I used to go, I used to have very bad bleeding gums and receding gums, and it would hurt. My teeth were very sensitive, and so it would just hurt. And so that was the fear of going there because you
You're
don't
like,
want
"Oh, no,
something.
it's gonna
Yeah,
hurt." And
yeah.
I think a lot of people have that fear,
Hmm.
that it's gonna hurt, but they don't realize that there's actually prevention, right?
Yeah, and over time, my gums have gotten much stronger. Like they used to have to give me, the lidocaine and stuff like that because I just couldn't tolerate the cleaning. But
Yeah.
now I don't have to have any of that because my gums are. I built some resiliency there. And they're
And
much
I think
stronger. They
yeah,
don't
and
bleed
I
like
think
they used to.
the diet, I mean,
Oh
because
yeah,
you're very conscious of what
yeah,
you're eating and what you're
absolutely.
doing,
Mhm,
it like I said, it just goes hand in hand, like,
mhm,
with everything that we're doing.
totally.
So, let's go to holiday talk
Okay.
because, the Thanksgiving, and then
Yeah.
we have Christmas, and, there's turkey. I'm gonna make everybody hungry, so because I'm such a foodie. But, are there things that people should be aware of for the holidays? Is there there's a lot of acidity.
Mhm.
There's between coffee, which I love coffee, I love champagne, we're celebrating, you're with families, things like that. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you would say for the holidays that maybe would be a good advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot we could talk about there.
Let's unpack the holidays.
Sure, sure. Yeah, that's a common time of year, when people get off the track that they were on with their health and their nutrition and things.
And
S
stress.
Absolutely.
There's, like, the stress that
Absolutely.
impacts your not just your eating, but your body. So I'll let you
Totally.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I that's the other thing I was gonna say
Yeah.
is stress and lack of sleep and but yeah, stress is a big player in in so many ways. And so that's something that we discuss and talk about strategies and things to be aware of and just be mindful that you want to enjoy yourself, right?
Mhm.
Life is not about saying no to everything like you were saying earlier and being overwhelmed by it, right? We just want to have awareness and we want
Mhm.
to do things and choose paths that really nourish us, and we can still have a great time and really have a fun time and enjoy what we're eating and what we're consuming, what we're doing, and still do it in a way that really, serves us, right? And
Yeah.
so like, is there anything specific
So
that you
I was
wanna.
okay, so we have our Thanksgiving meal.
Yeah. Mhm.
You have the turkey,
Right?
so of course everybody eats the turkey and you're sleeping now.
Yeah, the tryptophan.
So
Uh-huh.
that's always a good, little thing. You have your cranberries. I think people with the cranberries, that's pretty popular,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's fun. People put lots of sugars in with the cranberries because they're tart and they're
Yeah.
acidic, and then there's sugar. So,
Yeah.
then yeah, we have that. What other foods we have in the stuffing,
Mhm.
so there's
Mhm.
like a lot of things in the stuffing that, could cause some kind of digestive issues.
For sure.
Lots of
Yeah.
butter.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. Different families do it different, right? But some of those traditional things, yeah, I think about turkey, I think about, green bean casserole, I think about sweet potatoes, stuffing, yeah, the cranberry sauce, but there's ways to make these things actually healthier, so that's something to always consider if you feel comfortable in the kitchen and you have the opportunity to either be one of the people that are making the food for the meal,
Mm,
or if you bring a dish. And so I usually suggest that people bring some things to contribute so that they
yeah.
have something that they can lean on, right? And then so for example, like if you're gluten free, you can make your stuffing with gluten free bread, right? Or you could do cornbread style. Um, with the cranberries, like I like to make a little cranberry orange combination with real cranberries. And then it doesn't take that much sugar because the orange juice and the orange is sweet enough and it's kind of offsetting the cranberries. I wanted to say something about the cranberry too, because that's a really great polyphenol, and it's actually very helpful for one of the keystone species of bacteria called Akkermansia municiphilia. So people can trust that when they're having their cranberries, they're actually feeding some good guys in there, and of course a lot of fiber and whatnot. But yeah, I think that one of the things that I really enjoy is thinking about what are comfort foods or what are foods like that are traditional Thanksgiving foods or holiday foods, and how can you recreate those into being tasty, but also more nourishing? So,
Yeah, I think so. Here's something I find interesting, and I
mhm,
don't like to cook. I'm
okay.
just I like to eat,
Yeah.
and I've really had to get out of my element a lot of times and figure out how to cook for one for myself
Mhm,
daily,
mhm.
and not go out to eat, and make bad choices and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, but I think social media.
Uh-huh.
Um, because we have there's goods and bads about but because we have now there's recipes, there's different things with that you can go online, and it's kind of inspirational. I know, like, even TikTok and things like that. It's
Mhm.
inspirational to see how people can recreate dishes for their diet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's so much opportunity. And yeah, to your point, I mean, there's recipes everywhere and there's food bloggers and chefs and all kinds of people, that you can you don't have to recreate the wheel. You can just do that. you know? Um
Yeah.
yeah, and so I think there is y- I think there's a balance, right? So I don't want to suggest that if there is something that, your grandmother's pie or something that you really long for.
Pumpkin's good for
It
you.
is,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Pecans are good. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can tease out of that are actually healthful,
Mhm.
and then maybe changing a couple other ingredients. But what I also want to say is, yes, let yourself, have something if it is something that you really desire. It's not like you're doing it
Don't
every day all the
deprive.
time. Yeah, it's not about restriction, right? But it is about being strategic. And so I think showing up to a Thanksgiving meal when you know that there's going to be a lot of things that maybe really aren't on your plan, y- I like to have some protein. Like I like to have a protein shake before I go. I don't want to show up starving, right? I want
That's
to
like going to
show
the
up,
grocery
yes,
store and you're
hungry.
so hungry and you're
Yes,
buying
you're gonna make a
everything
lot
and
of
you're
choices that you don't, necessarily need because you're letting that drive, right? And so if
Mhm.
you have some protein and maybe a little bit of fiber before you show up, and then you also show up with some things like I like to bring some kind of vegetable side dish and some kind of dessert because I don't want to sit there with when everyone else is eating desserts and I don't have something to
Mhm.
eat. So I'm either going to make a choice to have a small amount of something that somebody else made, or I'm going to have my own that I really enjoy and maybe also turn somebody else onto something that's really actually healthier and really tasty. It's not about missing
People
out.
probably expect you. They
Well,
probably
they do.
expect you to
Yeah,
be
that's
like,
true too.
"Let's see what she's got and what's healthy," and,
Mhm.
you would be welcome to anybody.
And that's been fun for me too. Yeah, because they do. They kind of look forward to that over the years because they know that I'm going to bring some things for them to experience and try.
From the dental standpoint,
Mhm.
I'll go, it's funny because I experiment with different toothpaste and I experience, different things so I can share with others and, how to keep your mouth healthy, and how we can make everybody aware of what they're eating and how it affects their.
Mhm.
And so I love sharing those things. So when I go places, it's funny, see some family or something, and I'll usually give, like, a little toothbrush to somebody or do something. And even for Halloween, it it always bothered me,
Uh-huh.
and as a hygienist, to be giving candy.
Mhm.
And now there's so many alternatives to candies and things like that, but with xylitol, and they have different products that that they, and everybody has to be careful with all those kind of things too.
Mhm.
But, but yeah, no, there's so many different things out there, but when in Halloween, I always wanted to give toothbrushes or do like some floss or something like that, and my kids would never. They were like, "Mom, our house is gonna get egged." We're not doing that and everything. So I did end up chocolates. We'll kind of go, I love
Mhm.
chocolates.
Mhm.
Chocolates are pretty healthy.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely antioxidants, magnesium, right? So, yeah, there's some benefit there. When you want something sweet, chocolate's a good way to go.
Yeah, in
Yeah,
moderation.
of course.
Obviously, you're not going to be having like a whole, but you can have like little. I think chocolate is a good mood, for especially, and I'll go here with women, it's kind
Yeah.
of like I could, my daughter's probably going to kill me for this, but. When my daughter would be a little grouchy or something
Mhm.
would happen, and even for myself, I'll go for myself too. Just a little chocolate just
Yeah,
makes your mood so much better.
totally. Yeah. I think I've only met one person in my life that didn't like chocolate. Everyone else is a fan.
They used to have chocolate, it was a chocolate mint, and there was also chocolate Profi paste, which was
Oh,
like,
okay.
it almost tasted like Thin Mints. It was kinda scary,
Ooh.
like of how and I would use that every once in a while on people because but then it was like, oh, they felt guilty, like having their teeth polished with, something so, like, wrong. They were like, you could do mint, and then there was, like, cherry or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But there was, like, chocolate mint, and I'd be like, "Oh," it's usually around February. I would be like, "It's Girl Scout season."
Mhm. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan.
It was something just a little touch of mint, and it was really good. So,
Mhm.
little treats, even in the dental world, we can do, like, little
I
treats.
think that's great. I think that's
No
great.
tricks.
Yeah.
Um, so as far as your microbiome and keeping things merry and bright over Christmas time,
Mhm.
it's probably not the best time to go on a diet.
Right. Mhm.
And then people start their New Year's. It's
Mhm.
like something about New Year's sets everybody up. Everyone goes to the gym,
Right.
It's like, oh,
Yes.
the gym memberships, it just skyrockets, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
But there's something about with the holidays, obviously there's the indulgent. It's just not the best time to go on a diet.
Mm-mm. It's not. Yeah. There's too many things pulling you in too many different directions. Yeah.
When you prep for, I know you talked a little bit about, having protein shakes or something like that.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you do to prep before, let's say you're going to go out with the girlfriends or you're going to go out
Mhm.
for different holidays? Is there other tips that you can give people that would, obviously protein has been a big thing,
Mhm.
making sure your muscles and, it's good for, especially as we age,
Yes. Uh-huh.
protein, having so much protein. Can you touch base a little bit on what you do and then also about protein?
Sure. So I mean, I think putting put, consuming protein, consuming fiber is very satiating for the brain and for the body. Also it helps keep your blood sugar, really steady. And the purpose of all those things is so that you don't overindulge and so you can make better decisions from a confident place, again, not letting that hunger override things, right? Staying really hydrated is important.
Mhm.
So to help your detoxification abilities, there's some supplements that I take as well that are helpful for repair. Or if I think I'm going to have some alcohol or something like that, or if I might be exposed to gluten because generally I'm gluten free. You can take some different specific digestive enzymes that are supportive. There's antihistamine supplements that you can take. There's different comprehensive gut repair things that I do also if I've had a evening where I've had some things like that. Um, that are gonna, quickly repair the gut lining and calm down that inflammation and really allow for me to be able to move those things through or not have as much of an impact. I like to get in my infrared sauna. I like to move my body. So those are all things that I consider that allow for me to have an easier experience where I can bounce back quicker, right? And then, kind of like we did today, where we said a prayer before our interaction. How what you think about and what you believe about yourself and what that experience is going to be and what your body's ability is sets the tone for how you respond to those things,
Mhm.
right? And what's going to happen. And so just thinking about like I'm here really for the connection. I'm less here for the food and the drink and whatever, right? I'm actually really here to connect with the humans that I'm here to be with or
Mhm.
whatever experience, even if it's myself going somewhere, it's more about the experience and food is a part of that, but it's not the sole driver, it's not the most important thing.
Right,
And
and
so
creating
you can find
memories, especially
joy.
yeah,
Yeah. And
finding joy in the little
yeah, that's
things,
right.
and you do, I think, there's a book, it's called Power of Moments,
Mm,
and it's how you create your own moments, and you go back to those moments, in time, and it makes you smile.
yes. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's really important to remember and to focus on. And when people are trying to make, better choices with their diets, that's something that comes up a lot is like, how do I do this in social settings, right? How do I do this around my friends and things like that?
Mhm.
And so this is often, a conversation that I have. And what is it that you're really looking for? What is it that you really want?
You have to figure out what I have found, and we can talk about with purpose, and
Yeah.
it's more, people are I can say I'm hard on myself,
Mhm.
and I've had to really let go and be like, okay, we're human. We're
Mhm.
definitely human. We're
Mhm.
going to make bad choices in certain things, but
Sure.
I think it was so interesting you talked about recovery
Mhm.
and how we can still recover from bad choices.
Absolutely. The body's super resilient. Like it really is. It's just it's about removing the blocks to healing and regeneration and then giving your body what it needs so it can do that, which
And
is
getting out of the environment, if it is an
yeah,
unhealthy environment,
totally.
you can definitely remove yourself from the environment. You're not
Yeah.
stuck in that environment.
Yeah, there's a great quote. I don't know who started it, but it's like you can't heal in the environment that made you sick.
Mm,
And that could be your home, that could be your office, that could be your group of friends, that could be your family,
mhm.
you know? But yes, it works on all levels. And you do have so much power in your choices. We all do.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and
yeah,
the mindset, yeah, definitely.
yeah,
So as
it's
far
huge.
as I'll talk about supplements
Okay.
because obviously you need to talk maybe to your doctor or maybe, people some medications can, affect medications have dry mouth, with the oral microbiome and that
Hmm.
causes issues as well.
Right.
People have different immune responses, to different things. Supplements, is there something that is like maybe it, is super safe that you would recommend to have, or is it just something you have a consultation with your either nutritionist or doctor or somebody of what you can and can't? Because they do mix. I mean, the medications and supplements, even when I'm taking health history,
Hmm.
on a dental patient, they don't think much about the supplements because they're
Right.
like, oh, it's just a supplement.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but they do interact.
Yeah. And they're powerful, you know? So Yes, I think it's important to work with someone or do your own research about uh, how important it is to get high quality supplements first of all, right? Because there's a lot of garbage out there, and no one is really regulating any of that. And so the nutraceutical companies that I work with actually have, literature. There's evidence around that what is in them is actually in them, that what they do, they actually do. That their storage, that the way that they manufactured these things is all on point, and that's something to really consider. Um, and so, yes, I do work with my people. That's a big part of my practice is getting more specific, nutrients for their needs and where their deficiencies lie and that kind of thing. So I think that that's important to think about. But also, herbs is really where things can get a little sideways sometimes
Mhm.
with different medications or even herb to herb interactions. They do happen. And so you have to have somebody that's knowledgeable, whether that's yourself or somebody that you work with like myself that can guide you in that way, because you can get in trouble,
Yeah.
Uh, and as far as medications, I mean, one of the main things I think about is like blood thinners.
Mhm.
For example, like if someone's on a blood thinner, there's natural blood thinners as well, like fish oils and vitamin C and things like this. And so you have to be mindful about that and maybe not mixing the two depending on the status of the person. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's important, but the other thing I want to say is that, again, I think there's a time and a place for medication. Um, and I also believe that nutrition and what God created for us here in on the planet
Mhm.
is way powerful and not given as much credence as it should have. And oftentimes you don't need a medication, to take care of the symptom that you have, because the symptom is not a result of a deficiency of a medication. It's a result of a deficiency of some nutrients or
Mhm.
too many toxic exposures, right? That are causing that inflammation and causing that downstream side effect. Like symptoms are messengers to your body that it's missing something or that it has too much of something that it doesn't need and doesn't know how to get rid of.
Yeah.
So, um,
What about okay, so I'm gonna pick your brain
yeah,
on
sure.
peppermints. Peppermints are huge around the holidays,
Yes.
and, um, is is peppermint good for your stomach?
Yes, it can be. I think it's very helpful. The time when I see it maybe not being as helpful is sometimes people with acid reflux. They
Mhm.
don't really tolerate that as much. But but yeah, peppermint can be very, very soothing and very beneficial for sure.
I always so peppermint, even peppermint gums, and like I said, I love xylitol
Uh-huh.
ingredients and things, just are natural. Um, so peppermint always was like a brain. I know it's not we're talk gut and everything, but
Mhm.
everything kind of goes hand in hand with your brain as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's the whole systemic links
Yeah.
between everything. And so when my kids would take a test or something,
Mhm.
I would always and I know I'd give them, like, some kind of peppermint something,
Mhm.
to
Stimulating.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And even in yoga, when
Uh-huh.
I've taken yoga, it's like it wakes you up a little
Yeah,
bit. There's,
totally
like,
does.
different things like lavender that you can calm,
Mhm.
and then you have the peppermint that excites, and you have different oils and things like that. So,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that we do that can help and help reduce inflammation and fears and things like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and all that stuff is natural. It's amazing. It's amazing how it's all here for us.
I know it's all
Yeah.
given and everything.
Uh-huh.
So, if you could give, like, let's say, what about eggnog? We'll kind of, I'm giving all kinds of different foods,
Yeah.
around the holidays. What do
Mhm.
you think about eggnog?
So so I think that, I love eggnog, first of all. But there's so much, again, like, just crap, there's like there's just there's a lot of pre-made eggnogs that are full of crap. And so that's the downside of those, right? But you can also, make your own too. And I think the warming, spices that are part of eggnog can be very healing and actually help with, like cinnamon, for example, really helps with blood sugar. Clove is one of the most powerful antioxidants on the planet. Those spices also have antimicrobial benefits, so like natural antibiotics, right? And so, and then, yeah, eggs, if you tolerate them, and dairy, you could even make it with vegan dairy options too. They also have great properties. So there are better ones that are pre-made out there than others. I just encourage people to read the ingredients, and if you do have the wherewithal to make your own, that would be a good route too.
I think we'll kind of start wrapping things up, but
Okay.
the holidays with dental, I'll kind of give you some dental things too that I think about with all
Yeah.
the acidity and everything that
Mhm.
people are consuming.
Mhm.
People like to brush their teeth sometimes right after, and
Oh.
my helpful hint for the holidays would be don't just drink your coffee and then go brush your teeth because the acids
Mm.
it takes about 20 minutes for your mouth to kind of remineralize. And all you're doing, my helpful hint is all you're doing is the acids, you're wearing away your teeth enamel. So,
Interesting.
and of course, orange juice and toothpaste don't really go together either.
No.
So, mimosas, don't brush your teeth right after a mimosa. There's like another helpful hint.
Is that the same situation no matter what it is that you're eating or drinking, or is it really with just more acidic type
It
foods and
really is with
drinks?
what so in the mornings, I definitely, I'll brush my teeth first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And then they do make some great mouth rinses that people
Mhm.
can rinse with. I'm more of a natural girl. Sometimes, more like even a baking soda, just or like just salt remedies
Mhm.
every once in a while. Baking soda whitens your teeth,
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
holidays, but and it neutralizes. So there's a
Mhm.
lot of benefits, even I'm sure in the gut health with
Yeah.
baking soda, there's different things you can do.
Yeah.
Some of my patients would have the apple cider vinegar. That was
Uh-huh.
like a huge thing with gut,
Yeah.
and it worked for a while. But as far as there's different reactions, chemical reactions that can happen, when you mix vinegar and baking soda,
Yes.
it can
Acidic and
definitely make a
basic.
hot
Yeah.
mess. And
Yeah.
it's not good for, I'm sure, your gut, like, to be doing that either because it can come up
Yeah.
too. So,
Yes.
there's other little helpful hints, that we can do. But there's mouth rinses, I prefer ones without any alcohol. There's the
Mhm.
TheraBreath, things that can be natural. And I
Mhm.
love how you do, your recommendations for the natural body, the natural gut health.
Mhm.
I think it's very important to realize that people can have good choices and they can do things.
Absolutely.
Is there anything as far as for the holidays, anything during the season for your gut health that would be beneficial?
I mean, I think we covered a lot.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
not really think yeah. I think we did cover a
I think,
lot.
yeah.
I think where can people find you?
Yes. So my website is my name. It's gabriellegrandell.com. And I also have the same name on all of the social media channels. So Gabrielle Grandell. And if you go on my website, you can also fill out a new client inquiry. And I do offer complimentary 20-minute phone calls to chat about your story and see if it's a good fit for us to work together. So
I
yeah,
think that's
I'm
wonderful. So, just to remind everybody that your gut and your gums, they don't take holidays off.
that's
And it
right.
doesn't mean you can't enjoy yourself because we obviously you can enjoy yourself. And that's what it is. It's part of creating memories, it's part of doing everything. I
Yeah,
think this has been great conversations,
me
of your
too.
gut and your gum health. And I think it's like a therapy session that everything just came together, with the gut and the gums.
Yeah,
And I just a big thank you to you for being on this show, sharing your wisdom. Um, Healing starts when we listen to our bodies, and I think it's
yes.
very important from the mouth to the gut. That we head into these holidays, we remember it's not about perfection, it's about balance, it's about laughter, it's about giving your body and your smile. Smiling's important.
Mhm.
Giving just a little love to yourself,
Yeah.
giving a love, grace. I'm saying that for myself as well
Mhm.
because there's so much stress that happens. And so go ahead, enjoy your cookies, sip your cocoa, maybe add a little side of fiber, I guess, and
Yeah.
some gratitude. And if you love today's episode, follow Gums and Gossip wherever you listen to podcasts and share with a friend who could use this helpful hints from the holiday seasons and beyond. And until next time, keep smiling, stay curious, take care of your body, and just smile, have your beautiful grin. And I'm Hope, your gum goddess, and we have the gut goddess. And for more, just keep positivity and light and remind that your health starts with your heart and your gut, and a little gossip doesn't hurt either. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. So great to be with you.